Welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk to you about worry. What are you worried about today? And I know that most of you are worried about something. I spoke with someone this morning at the gym who was worried about different things, even though she realizes that that won't change anything. She's still worried about it. How do you handle worry? Or do you just worry? Well, one of the reasons that I recommended the book Jesus Calling to y'all is because we have to put other things and other thoughts in our minds in order not to worry about whatever is concerning us. And in my book, Jesus Calling, May 11th, there's a passage in here that it states, most of the situations that entangle your mind are not today's concerns. You have borrowed them from tomorrow. The first time I read that, it hit me like a ton of bricks because it's so true. Whatever you're worried about, is it something that's happening right now? And in most cases, it's not. It's worrying about what happened yesterday or what may happen tomorrow, what you may not be able to do, what bill you may not be able to pay. There's so many different things that you could be worried about. But what I'd like to ask you is, how many of your concerns has worry ever solved for you? Any? One? Worrying has never solved anything for you. It hasn't solved anything for any of us because that's not the purpose of worry. That's not what worry does. Worry makes us sick. It steals the joy from today. It doesn't prevent anything from happening. It's not going to pay the bill. It's not going to make him come back, make her come back. It's not going to make him leave. It's not going to make her leave, or whatever the problem is. So what do you do? What can you do to prevent yourself from worrying? One of the things, the main thing that I do is I trust God. I trust in God. I believe what He said, that with Him all things are possible. And in that promise, it doesn't say some things are possible or this is possible but not that. It says all things are possible. So if all encompasses everything, what do I need to be worried about? Because I recall, and this is what I'd like for you to start doing, is to recall your past worries, things that you worried about that worked out in the end. And you spent all of that time thinking about, worrying about how it wasn't going to work out, and what if I don't get this job, or what if I don't, whatever your worry was. When you think about it, it never came to be. It never came to pass. And so spending all of your time worrying about something it's a useless endeavor. And so what I want you to start reminding yourself of is that everything that you have been through thus far in your life, you've survived. And you have to know that you've survived because you're here. You're here to tell the tale. We've all survived everything that we've had to go through, no matter how difficult it was. And usually when things happen, they come as a surprise to us. It's not the things that we worry about. It's something completely out of the blue. So I don't know what your faith is. And when I mention your faith, I'm not talking about church. I'm talking about believing in a power that's greater than yourself. And for me, that's God. And I believe what God says. He says that He will never leave me nor forsake me. And I believe that. And He has brought me this far in my life, and I believe that He will continue to walk with me. And that's what I want you to start believing if you don't believe it. Because He is in this book also, it says that I'm holding you by your right hand. I'm always with you. Do you believe that He's always with you? I believe that He's always with me. Now, there are some people that are in the church every time the doors open, and they have zero faith. What good is it doing them to show up every time the doors open if they're not going to practice what they're being taught? And I didn't always have the faith and the belief that I have today, but I learned how to practice it. And in one of the previous videos, I mentioned to y'all that everything it's a muscle. Having faith is like a muscle. You don't develop it if you don't practice it. And by practicing it, what I'm saying is that when something concerning comes up in your life and you're tempted to worry about it, instead of worrying about it, how about you pray about it and ask God for an outcome that's not tragic. Whatever you think is the worst case scenario, ask God to give you a different scenario. But please understand that God answers all prayers, but sometimes He says no. And when something happens in our lives, it's not random. God knows what He's doing, and whatever it is, even though it may look like a catastrophe at the time, it's not. It's something to keep you going in the direction in which He wants you to go. And if you can just trust Him and believe that He's got you. He's got you, and it's all going to work out, whatever it is. So the next time you are tempted to worry, and those of you who are worried right now, just remember what I'm telling you now. And again, the reason I want you to read some of these books is because we all have to have something else in our minds if we don't want to worry. If you just recirculating your own thoughts, that's not going to help, because for many of you, you have what's called stinking thinking. And stinking thinking just gets more stinky as time passes. So I want you to put something else in your mind, something else that you can focus on, a Bible verse. You can remember this quote that I gave you earlier. Most of the situations that are of concern to you are not today's issues. You have borrowed them from tomorrow. That's so powerful. It's so powerful because you know it's true. You probably have everything you need for this moment, for right now. Because how much do we really need right now? Are you able to breathe? Do you have electricity? Do you have food? And if you don't have food, we have food banks. There are places that you can go to get food. There are places that you can go. There are nonprofit organizations who will pay your electric bill. There are things that you can do. We live in a country where we have options. We have options, and we have there are resources that are available to us. And I'm not going to talk about all the things that people think are wrong, and some of the things that I think are wrong. What I know for sure is that God owns it all. He owns it all. He's in control of all of it. And if we will just remember that, if we will start practicing having faith, believing that whatever the issue is, it's going to be okay. It's going to turn out well. In one of my readings this morning, it was talking about when you're praying, you may be praying for sunshine for your wedding, your family reunion, whatever the event might be, while the farmer is praying for rain. We don't always get what we want, because sometimes the farmer may need the rain desperately so that he or she can continue raising his or her crops and putting food on our tables, while you want the family reunion or you want your wedding to be on a bright sunny day. You can always take that and your family reunion inside. The farmer has no choice. If it doesn't rain, he or she can lose those crops. So we don't know why all of our prayers are not answered, but thank God that they're not all answered. Because when I look back over my life, there are some prayers that I'm so thankful that weren't answered, because they were not in my best interest, even though at the time I desperately wanted those prayers to be answered. So you have to find something that you can substitute that worry for. And like I said earlier, building a relationship with the Lord can help, because if you don't have a relationship with him, you have nowhere to turn. You just keep thinking about recycling all of those thoughts in your head over and over, and thinking the worst and feeling sick. And what does that accomplish? It doesn't accomplish anything. And again, I'm not talking about going to church. I'm talking about building a relationship with him. I don't go to church. My relationship is with him, because I don't feel like I need to have the building. I don't need to show up. There's some issues that I have with church and church people sometimes, that I prefer to get my church on television so that I can control my environment. I don't have people stepping over me, coming in late, and bad singing and all of that stuff. I'm kind of a stickler for certain things, if you hadn't noticed already. But for me, the most important thing is the relationship that I have with Jesus Christ. That's what's important to me, and that's what I have, and that's why I have so much peace and joy in my life, because I know that he's watching over me, and I know that whatever situation that befalls me, he's still in control. And like I said on one of my other videos, my life is not perfect, but it's perfect for me. And I have more peace and joy and serenity in my life than I've ever had before. And I know why. It's because every day I start my day out with my morning ritual, where I read my 7 books. I get my spiritual food. I get empowerment so that I can face the day with faith and courage and hope and love and expectation, positive expectation. And that's what I want for you as well. I heard on the radio this morning, I listen to Steve Harvey at 5 a.m. every morning, and I love his first 10 minutes of morning inspiration. And this morning he was talking about, his quote was, Discipline determines your destiny, not your desire. Discipline determines your destiny, not your desire. What disciplines have you set up in your life? One of my disciplines is doing my morning ritual. My morning ritual is a discipline. It's something that I developed over the years, and I learned that it works for me. In couple of the other videos, I gave y'all some homework to make your bed every morning. Have you started doing that? Keeping a gratitude journal. Have you started doing that? Have you written down 5 things every night that you're grateful for that happened that day? If you haven't, when do you plan to start? That's how you build discipline. You do it anyway, whether you feel like it or not. Just do it. If you don't want to discipline yourself to do the things that are in your best interest, how can you expect your life to change? Remember, nothing changes unless we change. And in order to have the life that you desire, you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to become a disciplined person. That's the only way that I know. If there's another way, please share it with me, because I don't know of another way. But I want you to have the wonderful life that you want. So let's go out and make this life count. Let's make this day count so that we can make our lives count. I'm counting on you. I know you can do this. And I'm with you, and I will be back with another video tomorrow. So please like, subscribe, and share. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them. I will answer as many as I can, and I'll see you next time. Take care.